process. Most of the amino acids that we need, so proteins are made of amino acids, are abundantly present in our diet, and it's only in rare cases where people have metabolic disorders that you'll find a deficiency for an amino acid. The same thing for the enzymes that synthesize neurotransmitters. So as much as I would like to believe that there's, smart foods and smart drinks that can actually boost memory, I'm skeptical. I think that just a normal diet that has the complement that we all know is important has sufficient amino acids for protein synthesis.
Question.
Avendo 83 anni, ho sperimentato il ritardo della memoria. La mia domanda è: qualche volta io non ricordo un nome, un fatto, un numero, e dopo alcuni minuti me lo ricordo improvvisamente, oppure dopo alcune ore, alcune volte un giorno dopo, di colpo mi torna alla memoria. Come si spiega questa differenza di tempo del ripescaggio della memoria?
So, he has 83 years, and although memory works quite well, sometimes he forget things, and what he noticed is that sometimes the thing he doesn't remember will come up suddenly at a different time point.
Right.
So, but that's exactly what you.
Yes, this is what I was describing. So this in English we call this the tip of the tongue phenomenon, where you're trying to remember something and you just can't. It's there, but you can't call it to mind, and then without any active rehearsal, later that day or the next day, the information pops into your mind. I think the neurons that we describe, that the ones that I told you that we analyzed for the error trials, represent that information. And I think that when you are seeking retrieval, when you're asking yourself, what is the name of that person, you set in motion a sort of search strategy that can continue even without your conscious awareness of it. So I actually tell myself, if I forget something like that, okay, brain, you work on it and let me know when you have the answer. And that's essentially what happens. It pops into your head.
I have a question. From your perspective, there is something we can do to delay the aging of the memory?
Who asked that question, just so I can...
Clear.
Oh,
can you
okay.
raise your
There
hand?
is something from your perspective that can delay the aging of a brain?
I think there's a lot of research showing that the so-called use it or lose it strategy, that individuals who engage in active mental activity throughout their life and continue to do so as they age are spared some of the normal aging process, and also can, in some cases, hold at bay neurodegenerative processes as well. So keeping your mind active, I think, is one of the best things you can do. Coming to lectures on brain synapses is really a good thing.
È normale dopo scusate, è normale dopo una cura antidepressiva perdere la memoria delle cose, dei fatti, degli eventi, come lei ha detto, tipo non mi ricordo dove devo andare a mettere il formaggio, se nel frigo o nella lavastoviglie o cose di questo tipo, o non ricordare i nomi delle persone che tutti i giorni stanno con te, tipo i nomi dei tuoi alunni che hai avuto magari per 4-5 anni, e perdere il sonno e fare le giornate dalle 7 alle 3 alle 4 di notte.
So it's quite complicated, but the essential point is that if you take an antidepressant therapy, is it normal to lose memory? And not only memory of the new facts, but also the old memories.
I haven't, okay. The question, if you take antidepressants, is it normal to experience memory loss? And not only anterograde memory loss like HM, but also memory loss for old things. I am not aware of that. The known side effects that I am aware of for antidepressants are things with word finding, so sometimes being at loss for a word and not being able to find it, but I'm not aware of any acute effects of memory loss with antidepressants. You know, so most antidepressants work, the most popular group work by inhibiting the reuptake of serotonin, and serotonin is not the main transmitter at brain synapses, but it is a modulatory transmitter, so it's conceivable, and people are studying serotonin modulation of memory and things like that, so I suppose that it's conceivable, but I don't know of any well-known cases.
Due affermazioni di questa conferenza mi hanno particolarmente interessato. La prima, lei ha detto che le sinapsi, se vengono costantemente stimolate, prolungano e aumentano la propria funzione. E la seconda, quella che ha detto verso la fine, e cioè che i neuroni conservano una memoria che però poi il soggetto non è in grado di andare a pescare. La domanda è questa. In questo processo molto tecnico e molto chimico, quanto influisce invece l'area delle emozioni, delle stimolazioni affettive, eccetera?
Yeah, so what about the emotional part of the brain and the relation with the hippocampus?
Right. So the influence of emotions and stimulation on memory formation. So one of the in the MRI that I showed, we had one electrode that's in the amygdala, which is a brain structure that has direct connections to the hippocampus. And the amygdala is the so-called emotion center of the brain. So this is an area that is activated in both the interpretation of emotion and as well as in fearful and highly emotive states. And it's well known that emotion has a very potent effect on memory formation. In particular, emotions can enhance the encoding of memories, and that's mediated both by the connections of the amygdala to the hippocampus, so stronger input from the amygdala, as well as many different transmitters, neuromodulatory transmitters that are released during emotional events. And the release of these neuromodulators has the effect of enhancing the memory, so increasing the strength of the memory when it's laid down. So there's a lot of work being done exactly on this area.
Parlava di memoria esplicita e memoria implicita, le due tipologie. Io le volevo chiedere quanto l'una influisce sull'altra. Le faccio un esempio. Quanto magari imparare a suonare uno strumento, quindi acquisire un'abilità, aiuta a ricordare i compleanni o altre cose, diciamo, più episodiche.
So it's an interesting question. She's asking if the different types of memory do influence each other. In the sense that, you know, for example, if you learn if you learn biking or if you learn playing chess, does this make easier for you to remember a face or to remember a name? So, is there any relation between, you know, procedural and non-procedural type of?
That's a very interesting question. There are well-known examples that are not quite anecdotal, but it's clear that there's facilitation across memory domains, and there's also interactions. The way that I've drawn these little boxes and separate kinds of memory is mostly because it makes it easier for us as scientists to actually study it by making it its own domain. But there are well-known interactions, for example, with classical conditioning and memory formation.